Hello, friends. Welcome back to my science fiction, imagination, story, vision of year 4019 when 1000 people from us were alive, will be still alive. They have reached 4019 and they are the same persons. And this is a new world 2000 years from now. Now, in this second episode, I am going to discuss about what newer science developments took place which facilitated and were working. You know, if we go 2000 years back or more or less, we will find that science was not the same, concepts were not the same, life was not the same. It was good in certain aspects and bad in certain aspects. There were benefits and there were harms. The life maybe was longer at some duration and shorter at some duration. So, this combination of time, place, things which constitute our living space, which we call universe, which has been there from time immemorials and will be there till time immemorials. So, it is said that whatever one thinks is already happening somewhere in this vast universe. It might have happened earlier in the same and different ways because nothing is same. Every time you think, different thinking is there. Things are never same again. And in coming times, more new things will take place. So based my thinking upon that, so I am going to continue in that first my recording of this episode of science fiction. Mr. Trumpu was addressing a gathering of those 1000 people who had gathered there, and they were going to take the new bodies, and the consciousness was going to be transferred into those new bodies because bodies like these had become like shirts. They were changing. Persons had the choice of the type of bodies. Bodies had evolved in many different ways. That I will discuss in further episodes. What was the changes in the body, how this progressed and evolved. Today, I am going to discuss some basic science, fundamental science thoughts. Let's start. Number one, you see, this is our atom with neutrons, like say, take a carbon atom, 6 neutrons, and 6 protons. Protons are positively charged. And then 6 electrons, which are moving around. So, you see, sorry, I was drawing there, I need to show it here. 6 protons, which are positively charged in the nucleus, 6 neutrons, which are neutral, and electrons, 6 electrons. So, like a carbon particle. Now, newer science will have newer metals. This thing you can think like a nucleus like a sun and electron like planets. Now we have different number of protons and neutrons and electrons to make different metals. Say uh, carbon, gold, aluminium, iron, copper, and so on and so forth, right? So now question is, neuroscience will add newer metals into our arena. For example, we may be able to add, say, 500 neutrons, 500 protons, and 500 electrons. Have you heard, any scientist heard of this metal? What would it look like? Present laboratories cannot do that. 500 electrons, protons and neutrons, and different ones, 600, 620, 1526, 1 million, few thousands, hundreds, and all. So, and the other side, we cut the protons into half. So imagine a metal with half neutron, half proton, and half electron. Half. Or one third, or one fourth, or 1/100th, or 1/1000, or 1/1,000,000. Don't think such things will not happen. What is impossible, remove the im and it is possible. There is no word impossible in the dictionary of the people who believe. And somebody said that word impossible only exists in the dictionary of the fools, right? So in the coming time, we will be forming nano, very small special metals and very mega elements and metals and gases, liquids, solids, maybe some other forms also. Now see, there is an importance to this. Few metals were combined to form alloys. For example, we have copper, but we have used this in combination with aluminium, and we have iron and we put carbon into it and becomes steel. We have different type of steels. These are the mixtures and compounds which make different qualities. So when the basic elements of protons, neutrons and electrons will be changed, entirely new characteristics of metallurgy will be there. We will have newer alloys which will be able to withstand very low temperature, very high temperature. We'll have different conductions. We'll be able to travel to different places, will be able to give us more electronics, nano electronics. And this will happen. This is one thing. So the experimentation on the fundamental sciences will evolve, and in this year 4019 is evolving further and further, because there are no frontiers in the universe. It is not an enclosed shelled space, it is open space. There are no boundaries. There is you cannot even imagine it. So if you want, if the people who had gone there and were living there in 4019, they had done that what was not what was not, they were not, people are not able to imagine, something unimaginable. Development of science is lying in imagining what is not imaginable at the moment. At the moment, I will be talking to you like this. Maybe at that time, some people imagined, some did not. But in this time period, many times the civilizations or science that flourishes, changes form, and will change form, re-emergence, the forgetting of what is old and taking something new. At one time, America was not inhabited by the Europeans or Africans. There were red Indians, and at some time, not even red Indians, the map of the world was different. The Europe and America were joined and so forth. So many big changes are bound to come. The time factor that also will be conquered in the period of time. Next change, this is one change which I discussed today, the change in the metallurgy, in the basic elements, in the protons, neutrons, and electrons, formation of new gases, liquids, and solids, and new combinations of alloys and metallurgy with entirely new physical, electrical, conduction, magnetic properties. Now, second one, this one, new. No, that was like I'm going through my notes, which when the idea comes to my mind, I note it down. And so I go back so that I remain organized. So now the new particles. Already we know photons, we know gravitons, and some other subatomic particles. But more particles will be formed. And one particle which I think, like now I'm light. So I am able to see light is reflecting, some colors are absorbed and others are reflecting, made of spectrum of different wavelengths, and some are absorbed. What is absorbed, I am able to see, and being reflected, I am able to see. So the new particles, which I think when there is darkness, nothing is empty in this universe. The vast space is filled with some particles. When in darkness we cannot see, that maybe that there is some photon, there is some dark tone, some particle, which is neutralized by photons. So who will discover that dark particle? Because it will be useful like we are using photons, like gravitons. So to the gravitons which are binding together the basic nucleus of an atom, the protons and neutrons and electrons are going around them. There is sun and planets. The sun is having its binding ropes of gravitons like that and pulling the planets towards it, whereas the planets are going round and round in their velocity, which has a centrifugal force and trying to push them away. So there is a balance between the pull of the gravitons and the push of the velocity, the centrifugal force. And I think we will be able to neutralize gravitons and have anti-gravitons, a system and material and particles which will neutralize gravitons, and we will be able to titrate their usage. We will be able to use them wherever we feel like. This will help us in many ways. For example, we have a blast of anti-gravitons, like we have atomic blast, like we have TNT blast, or special things which push the rockets into the space at a great velocity. Supposingly, we have a system in which anti-gravitons are clack, they are thrown, and the rocket, there is beams ahead or back which will keep neutralize the gravity, so that rocket can travel at many, 1,000 times more than the speed of light maybe, and so it will reach places. You may reach Mars in 1 hour and some other galaxies in few days. There was time, there was no cycle, there was no motorized cycle, there was no aeroplane, there were no rockets. And if you think this is just like that, so then we may be mistaken. This will be poverty of our imagination and vision. Just like the ships were formed, the aeroplanes are formed, and there were initial teething problems, we would find new technologies, new science, new particles, new metallurgy, new metals which will help us. And these metals and these type of energies will be incorporated in our bodies. Now I'm going to talk about those bodies which Mr. Trumpu and 1000 more, Toddy, Getty, and many people who had combined forces to become immortals, and they became immortals and used these bodies like shirts or getting new bodies. They had with those particles very, very nano neurons, which had increased in number from 1 billion to 100 billions, and their size of their bodies in the planets were of their choice. They could have small human-like bodies they were having in their almirahs, but today they were being given very special bodies, two 2 kilometer long bodies, having brain cells not only in the skull but in different parts of body. Imagine the thinking capabilities, the calculating and working capabilities, the wisdom and the intelligence of those people who have billions and billions of processing neurons and ventricles connected together, and they have memories of all the science. These books you are seeing behind are not there like in a computer you can put the software. So all these are in their software and they can get processed and connected. Their reaction times are attack, 1 millionth of a second. Attack. Thinking time attack. Because they could not survive otherwise. Because they were in competition with other species of the universe. Thousands of species, different types of lives, in which they had fights and going on fights. They were somewhere defeated, somewhere they were dead, but they were reborn because of the consciousness being preserved and transferred into new bodies. Supposingly, I have my consciousness into this pen drive. It's not a pen drive, maybe this pen like a drive. And I go somewhere in the universe and new species, they don't make friends with me, they are different. They have a fight where there is no fight. In this planet at the moment, there are so many fights going on everywhere because human nature and the world is fighting. New world is forming, old is there. Two minds don't think alike. Somebody thinks this is right, somebody thinks that is right. There is that preservation of human arrogance and ego and ignorance and foolishness which makes fight. And you cannot tell the other person that they are wrong because they will tell that you are wrong. If you say, okay, my religion is good and your is good, they say, no, no, our is good, your is wrong. Say, my system is good and your is good. They say, no, no, our is good, your is wrong. So, okay, and I want your science, your matter, your powers, your riches, your creation, even want you to work under me as a slave. Work for my players, my choices, my ego. All these things are going to persist. And so, next frontier in science, which I thought was control of basic personality traits. You see, supposingly I am Dr. Narotam Dewan. Now somebody is Dr. Alexander Ting Tong. Somebody is Muhammad Dr. Inayo. Somebody is Nihao Doctor. Somebody is Wohao Doctor. Somebody is Apadair King Doctor. So they will have some human beings and thinking will have some basic personalities like a base and little difference in electron, neutrons and protons and in chemicals, structures of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and so and other things. Little bit here and there, a compound becomes a poison or a medicine by little changes. So the science had discovered the basic traits in which the little changes were even traceable, like I am talking. If you will hear the voices of which were recorded or the histories of their lives, so science will decode their personalities. For example, some videos of Einstein and their voice. From that, on the basis of that voice and on the basis of this thing that what is the more than the normal, so their personality by and large could be developed, and so the basic trait of psychology of human mind were established, and so the basic things which were harmful were kept in reserve, like anxiety, anger, depression, frustration, and some things like pleasure, being of happiness, being enthusiastic, being hopeful. So these personalities were incorporated, positive personalities were incorporated, strong personality, the feeling of strength. One person may not be weak, but feels weak. One person may not be strong, but may feel strong. And if he finds a demon, fights with it, throws a stone, and hits the eye of the demon, and the demon dies. This is the courage. So in this year 4019, the basic personality traits were enhanced in the mind and brain and bodies. But the utility of the negative traits was defined, that how and why and when they will use anger or their destructive attitudes and thinking, or anxiety, like this thing has to be done quickly, why this thing is not being done. But in reserve, not always. Something they will use always, like being happy and strong and feeling enthusiastic, feeling friendly, right? So these things which are not under our control at the moment, there are psychiatrists at the moment which have very poisonous medicines. Anybody, they make a diagnosis for which they have no basis, and they will give depressants or stimulants or mind altering drugs which will alter the mind in a very way. So don't think that we have the best of sciences today. Unless these experiments will take place, and in 4019 those people already had gone through those experiments and they were controlling in the command of the positive things which were pushing them into the universe. They were traveling long distances, the patience, the faith. They were not quarrelsome. Quarrel was kept reserved. They were not feeling themselves unlucky. They were feeling they're lucky. They have survived and they are happy. Because when you feel unlucky, when you feel disturbed, when you are misguided, when you are troublesome, when you have no faith and no patience, those negative traits and they occupy somebody's mind. So in the future, the development is not just having a new body, physical body, it's having a new mind because there are billions and billions of neurons. The body is 2 kilometers long, having huge brain and brain matter in different parts. The sum utility of the parts is no more needed. Just breathing is needed when just to experience the breathing. Otherwise, energy, oxygen, working, all is being provided by newer type of energy storage methods into the bodies and newer type of energy production methods into the bodies. Closed phone. Mobile phone disturbs all the time. Today is Sunday and I am having the recording of my thoughts. So the next time, knowledge learning like loading of software in the hardware, using extreme cold beams and blasts to enter places that are extremely hot. Yes, yes, yes. That's why I thought, sorry man, this is Sunday. So the sun is hot. Can you think that we will be able to enter the sun? But imagine that technology has been made in which a spaceship has constant capacity to generate minus 5000 degree shell of cold around it and has the energy to do that, which will cause a negative energy of absorbing the energy, a mechanism of absorbing the heat and storing it somewhere, throwing it somewhere else to store somewhere else in a farther galaxy or a planet or into some storage uh, in the space. So we have a place. So that ship will go, keep sucking like the aeroplanes engines. What they do? They have turbines which suck the air and pushes it back. When it pushed back, so as per Newton's second law, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. The air is pushed back and thrown back and the aeroplane goes away. So that heat will be absorbed and there will be cold temperature and we will land on the sun, not only on this sun, on the suns much bigger than that, and we'll colonize that because we'll have the system to use that energy and to use the waste, the energy, excess energy, to beam it out somewhere and we'll have a colony. Will be able to travel into the heat of the sun, into the center of our earth, which is very hot. And so you will find new wonders. Won't you find new wonders there? Right. The next. Thing is that now I am having this plastic and glass. Earlier used to be glass, now this lens is plastic. And this watch, metal and plastic and some radium on this. So this is already a combination of flesh and plastic matter or metal. in those times, the bodies of the living beings will be many types. Main types will be purely flesh and flesh of different types, having different capabilities to resist different type of physical conditions, entirely metallic with the consciousness and intelligence of a human being. You may tell that is a metallic world, but this is going to happen. Already people are after artificial intelligence. They are very happy. And well, there's somewhere the metal will enslave the flesh and flesh will enslave the matter. There will be fights and the combination. Now you have people with artificial knee joints, artificial hip joints, maybe soon artificial liver and artificial heart, and so combination of metal bodies and flesh bodies. And I think so. This may be enough. This is half an hour today, and I say bye bye to you. Next episode I will bring you fresh imagination into year 4019. And I will also ask you to think, because every mind has the power and capacity to think more. And our human life can benefit by such newer developments. We are surviving, the life expectancy is increased, many diseases are conquered. The animals which were eating us, bacteria, viruses, wild animals, the human beings were running here and there, saving their lives like hunters and gatherers and being hunted victims. So this is changed, but we have newer formations of human hunters hunting and looting and squeezing the human beings in different forms of religions, nationalities, groups, greed more than the need. So today my message to all these people: be human, remain within your needs. Don't think you are better than any other human being. All human beings are same. Every whether they belong to any region, color or religion, respect them. Don't harm them on the basis of their thoughts, whether they are female, male or neutrals, all are same. And one time we will realize that even animals are the same. And mind it, in this newer world, people will choose the bodies of the animals or parts of the animals at their choice in their cupboard to put their consciousness into this. I will talk about this thing in my third one of transferring the consciousness as it was discovered and experimented, earlier experiments being consciousness being transmitted to animals. How did it happen? Supposingly, my consciousness is put into a python and I go as a python into the jungle. Oh, swallow a bird. Oh, no, I don't want to swallow a bird. But maybe the python will be hungry. Go inside the land into the python hole, climb a tree. What an experience, man. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.